Hi y'all, my name is Christina Kimbrough and I am the founder of Life LLC. We are a community for people that don't drink, a non-alcoholic bottle shop, which you see behind us, and a mobile bar. So actually today we are inside Maison Soleil, an ethical fair trade boutique right on Collie in Norfolk. And we have a wall behind us full of non-alcoholic drinks. Sit back and let's get connected.
Hello everybody, I'm Greg Tomchick. Welcome to the Connected Mindset Podcast, where each week we bring you the stories to better connect with the world around you. Let's dive into this week's podcast. Welcome back to the Connected Mindset Live. I'm your host, Greg Tomchick. Extremely excited about this episode to help you better connect with the world around you. Today we have Miss Christina Kimbrough. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Absolutely. We're grateful to have you. So one of the ways we like to start the show is, what mission are you on, and what are you hoping each person listening in today walks away with?
I love that. I would say I'm on a mission to help people connect deeply without alcohol.
I love that. So taking you back to, through your journey, I definitely want to talk about some of the challenges that you went through that people listening in today are probably going through. But what did it take you to get clarity on that specific mission, and how are you bringing that to the world today?
Yeah. So I'm 5 years sober from addiction to alcohol. And, we live in a world that's like obsessed with alcohol. It's just cultural. We were talking about it a little bit, but it's everywhere. And so, I was drinking a lot, disconnected. I thought that alcohol was what was connecting me to people, to places. And it wasn't until I got sober. I got sober in 2020, which was wild. February 4th, the pandemic obviously hit right after that. So it was a crazy time to get sober. And then in 2021, we started to open up, to go out more. And I was like, I don't know how to people without a substance. Yeah. And I'm an extrovert too. Yeah. So that's a misconception that I think people think we don't struggle. But I was like, oh my God. I don't know how to really connect or make friends or whatever. And so I started looking for places that didn't center alcohol. There really were none. I had a friend that started a meetup. That's how Free Love was started, at Cafe Stella, not too far from here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We met for coffee, and then it flew up to 500 people organically. And so now we are social entrepreneurship for people, that don't want to drink. So they don't have to be in recovery. It's just we're decentering alcohol.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, it's let's get coffee or let's get beer.
That's it.
And
yeah,
I think it's doing something while you're trying to connect. Have you thought about and explored why people feel like they have to do something when they're really there to have a conversation and connect with other people?
Yeah, I have. And this is the non-alcoholic industry. I love it. Really, I think there's a couple reasons we're going to hit on why it's doing so well, is because it is awkward. I remember when I was first trying to socialize, I was like, what the fuck do I do with my hands? Where are we putting our hands? And so I also noticed, because I do a lot of events, it's also just something to talk about, because you're not going to introduce yourself and be like, hi, I'm Christina, former alcoholic, trauma survivor, whatever. That's weird. People will go running. And so having drinks or something to talk about is just a barrier to entry, right? So that's why I love non-alc, because I can give you something and it's not about what you like, but I can have you taste something and you can be like, oh, that's disgusting. But that's a conversation point. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then it's a jump off place. Or you can say, oh, there's a Bali breeze they sell, oh, I went to Bali, and then from there, the conversation organically flows.
Yeah, so it's almost the book opener.
That's it.
What other questions can people ask? I think that's the big thing is hey, I'm Greg, and what are you drinking?
Right.
That's the opener that feels comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think people just need better questions.
They do. And I say this a lot, trying to, because it's funny. So I'm calling it a social reset. There's 54% of Americans aren't drinking, right? So I'm bad with math, but that's millions of people that are now not drinking. But if we had a culture where it was normalized, it was a social lubricant. And so I bring that up because I really think we're going to have to work on our social skills and our emotional intelligence, right? And that's going to come with learning better questions. One of the ones that I absolutely love that's great is asking someone, how did you get into that? Because when you use what, right? It's well, you just tell me you're in IT, and then it's bet, cool. Yeah. Where do we go from there? Right. But if I say, how did you get into that? Well, everyone's got an origin story, no matter where they worked or what they do. And I find that how is a really awesome way to.
Yeah. How or why.
That's another one.
It activates people's passion for something.
That's
and it gets below those first couple layers that oftentimes we shy away because we want depth. Yep. But the surface level conversation that's typically at a bar, at a restaurant, that kind of bores us.
Yes.
Or bores the other person where we don't seem interested. And then it's that whole dance you're doing where both people don't feel interested in each other because they're not asking
good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why do you think, just kind of getting to the foundation of being addicted to anything, why do you think people select, alcohol, or why do you think people select more social substances than other things that are more isolating?
Yeah. I think, obviously I can speak anecdotally for myself and my experience, but it was readily available. I actually just wrote about this recently because I was, I love to reflect and just try to pick and understand why in the world. And it's going to sound crazy to say, but I use alcohol as a tool because it's what I had available. Childhood trauma, all the things, and I didn't have access to therapy for a while. I do now. And so we dehumanize people that deal with drugs and alcohol a lot. And I'm like, well, sometimes this is a way to flip the script. That's what they have. And I drank a lot and for a long time because it worked. There was a version of it where that worked. Does that make sense? Like it helped me socialize. It helped me fill whatever the need was. So I would say for alcohol, and it's available and it's pushed everywhere. Like, you can't, this was the problem. It's getting better, but you couldn't go to a run club without going to a brewery or yoga without mimosas, and I'm not anti those things. They can exist, but there were no third spaces or places that didn't have alcohol. So between it being everywhere, prevalence, and then easy access.
It is easy access. And it's like, it's a legal substance. You can walk into any store and get.
That's it.
It's, I think that ease of access, and when we start to mentally struggle with something, it's an easy outlet to feel like you're turning it off. And I think that is at the core of any addiction. I feel like whenever I speak to friends, whether it's an eating addiction or some type of alcohol or dependency, I think a lot of it is you want to turn off because you're overwhelmed or distracted by something you don't want to be distracted by.
Absolutely. That was a big part of my story. Undiagnosed ADHD and sensory issues, but had no idea, and empath. Man, I was just like primed for this shit. Highly sensitive, so feeling all the things. And I wasn't drinking for me, it wasn't conscious. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to drink to numb, but it was just, it worked. I went into a bar, had a sip, and then after that second or third glass, everything was just warm and fuzzy. And then obviously it gets shitty after that. But absolutely.
Yeah, for me, as I've gotten older, the hangovers are worse. So they keep me away from it more, where I'm like, I know I need a distraction, like go for a walk or play with the dog or play with the kid. And it gets more clear, but I feel like until you go through that extreme pain, it's unclear. And I want the people listening in today that they don't need to go through the pain to have the realization. I know you speak a lot about that, but how do we get people that have not felt the pain to come to the same outcome that they would come to after a painful type situation?
Yeah, I love that. Well, I always say you don't have to hit rock bottom because I would hope so. Like, even if I called one person, like, don't do what I did. Or it doesn't have to get that bad to quit drinking. I think part of it is a mindset shift of realizing, like, you don't have to have, the first part is you don't have to have a problem to quit, right? Or cut back. It's funny, like, I am in absolutely recovery, but I get pushed back a lot because I'm like, I don't think everyone should be 100% sober. I know that it's not for everyone, and I know some people can drink. I will always advocate for self-awareness. So that would be the second piece, right? Is like tapping into yourself. And then I always tell people, why am I using said substance or whatever, insert here? Why am I scrolling right now? What am I trying to avoid, or what am I trying to numb?
Yeah, I think it does take a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection to get to that point. I heard something, it's like, and probably not going to get it right, but it's, you don't really make a change until the pain of not changing is greater than,
for sure,
than what you're going through in that moment.
Yep.
I saw that a lot with baseball, but it was kind of subconscious, where if I was doing really bad on the field, that pain of doing so bad was so shocking and such a hit to my ego that after the game was over, like, I was running myself to death, or like doing things that I knew I needed to do to not do that again. But that was driven out of pain, and I really want people to not have to go through those painful situations or hit the rock bottom in order to get there. And I know we were talking about like HALT, and I think those are good frameworks for people to understand, like, when your mind's going through overdrive, when you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired,
Yep.
that is when you're most of the time going to reach for that.
For the easy
escape.
fix. Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's like, so how do we, I always think about how do I get a friend that's going through that I know is in overdrive, but they don't see it the way I see it, to, do a little bit less, or be able to say, like, 6 is enough. I don't need to go for the other one.
Yeah.
Things of that nature, but not trying to control other people at the same time. But
It's hard.
Being an advisor, because
I know.
You're trying to do what's in their best interest, but sometimes they think you're attacking them as a person and their character, when really you just want to see them. You want to help them see the light.
Yes. Yeah. I would say to that, lower the barrier to entry. Mm-hmm. So this is a big part of my message too, is I'm like, I do it with walking. I'm like, okay, if I want to walk, well, 5 minutes is better than no minutes. Mm-hmm. Drinking. Okay, maybe smoke weed instead of drink, whatever your thing. Does that make sense? Because I'm like, I had to go completely alcohol free. Like I will never touch another one. But I think there's this mindset with everything that we have to do extremes. Like if I'm going to be a business owner, I'm going to be the best fit and it's going to be perfect. People apply that to sobriety or losing weight or all the things. And I think we don't understand that consistency, right? And then lowering the barrier to entry and doing one small thing for yourself compounds, right? Because then it also builds your trust in yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like the alarm analogy, when you promise yourself you're going to get up at 6 a.m. and then you don't do it, and that's a slow snowball effect of, oh, well, if I didn't do that, then I don't need to brush my teeth, or it goes
you
way
can talk
down.
yourself out of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I always say that I'm like I want to run more. I'm a runner. I love to run. But sometimes I can't. I'm in a growth business, stage of my business. I don't have the time. So then I do 10 to 15 minutes. But that 10 to 15 minutes, choosing that is going to compound worse with my health or better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's all going to compound. And I'm like, well, I'd rather pick the heart of showing up for myself and even getting 10 minutes in. It's a reframe too of not saying just 10 minutes. Yeah. Like 10 minutes is amazing on a day I don't feel like it or whatever. It's celebrating starting versus celebrating an outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us focus on the destination. That's why when we're not there yet, it starts to get a little depressing. And I think that's where a lot of people get to, because they're not where they want to be, and then they lean into vices or substances. We like to talk a lot about the connected mindset, because a lot of it is first connecting with yourself, and then that helps you better connect with the world around you. And I think sometimes people go connect with the outside world and they think it'll heal the inside, and it may, it very well may. But what did that look like for you to start to rewire, rethink where you get value versus what the world saw as Christina being valuable to them?
I mean, I always lead with authenticity. I'm still figuring it out. It's very hard because I didn't have professional success up until now. I kind of just floated, and I'm now doing well. I mean, it's hard, but things are going well. And what I'm trying to say is, like, work constantly. And well, what if Free Life, my business, failed or didn't, take off, whatever. Who are you outside of that? And to be honest, I'm figuring it out. It's a long journey, right? So getting quiet has really helped. Like, I know it's cliche, but like really, really, even if it's like taking a shower, right, without a podcast, or driving without a podcast. Like, I love stimulation. I think we all do, but like ADHD brain, I love all the things. And so just being quiet and then seeing who I am. And then I would say my character is a big one. So like, who am I when people aren't watching? Yeah. Right. So am I putting the shopping cart away or whatever, but like the small thing, I don't get it right all the time, but I try to lead really hard with integrity. Character matters a lot to me. Yeah. So, trying, don't do it perfect, but.
What is free, like the word free life, or the words together? What did that mean to you when you first heard it or put those together and said, this is what I'm going to call my movement or my mission?
I love that. I love this story. When I started, like anything, naming something is hard. Yeah. So we had elevated vibes, really fucking terrible names. Yeah. And so I couldn't come up with anything. And then it came to me at 3 a.m. It was just dropped into my head. And I woke up and I was like, Free Life. And Now, I mean, it's like living a life without substances is so freeing, but it's way deeper than just the alcohol, right? Like, it's the freedom to choose to show up for who I am and show up for my community. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like the alcohol industry is pretty cultish? Because a lot of like one of the indicators of a cult like movement is if you're not doing it, you're looked at as bad or wrong. And it's almost like that situation we all know where everybody in a group is doing something. It could be drinking alcohol, for example, and everybody's picking on that person that's not and just demeaning them. So it makes them feel disconnected, and when we feel disconnected, we feel depressed, and there's all other types of feelings that comes along with it.
So I can say for sure they pushed it on us everywhere and made it seem cool, right? That you needed it to celebrate, you needed it to come up, and this is my part of my life work, at least in this season, is peeling back the veil and like, you're not, you don't need it. You can use it if you'd like to, but like you are enough as you are. Like you don't need a substance to help.
Yeah, I mean, throughout your journey, I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations around the word addiction. When does somebody know that they're addicted to anything, right?
Yeah.
Your phone, the food you eat in the morning, oatmeal. It could be anything
can be compulsive.
Exactly,
For sure. Yeah. I don't know who defined it this way, but it's really pretty simple. But it's like when you're using something or doing something and it's having adverse effects on your life, right? Yeah. And you can't stop, or you won't stop, right? So it could be your phone, right? Like you're on your phone and your spouse is asking you to put it down, not you, but or whatever it is, or scroll any of it. So that's how I define addiction, and I think that's a pretty commonly held or compulsive behavior. When you keep doing the thing and you won't put the thing down, even though it's it's having adverse effects on your life.
Do you think it's relational, like your relationship life, like to other people, or do you think it's because typically it starts internally, right? You start to notice the friction it creates internally, and then that friction comes out to the other people, and people are like, oh, you may have a problem.
Yeah, it does. It can start internally and absolutely have effects on your sleep. But exactly, there's two relationships, the one to yourself and to the outside world too. Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, usually with addiction, you're going to start seeing it on yourself first. Yeah.
So what have you seen with other people that you've impacted from a improvement of life? Because I think we balance, incentives and benefits, right? If it doesn't benefit us to make a change, then we have to do the rock bottom or do the extreme pain in order to realize it. What have you seen in people that have been impacted by free life? Like what benefits have they seen, in their life and their business?
Yeah, I think the big one I hear a lot is like inspiration, right? Like, it's a reframe, right? Like I didn't think I could get sober, right? Or I didn't realize how fun and fulfilling and cool life could be without alcohol, right? Like I kind of felt like I was stuck. So that's a lot of what I see free life doing is opening up people's minds to what this life could look like. I also say like we're on a mission, we're a community of people that heals ourselves, so that way we can build a healthier world too. Because if you have healthier leaders, you have healthier community members. What does it look like to be in community together that's healthy? And I'm building it still, it's from the ground up and I'm in the middle of it. But that's a lot of it is just kind of opening their eyes to what's possible.
Yeah. Sounds like you've taken an approach also of meeting people in the middle versus like making people make the drastic change, because I think we make gradual changes more gracefully, and then you kind of include people along their own journey, and you've really, I think, met people in the middle and been like, you can be, you can just drink a little bit less or do X a little bit less and take them on a process versus there's a bar over here that serves only alcohol and we're the bar that serves non-alcoholic drinks, so you have to be one or the other and kind of pick.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. We say all the time, like, you don't have to be sober to join us. I mean, for the event you do. We're substance free for our events for obvious reasons. Like, I would stand for nothing. But I'm like, I honestly don't give a shit if you're sober that day, that night. You can drink when you leave. I've had people do that. I mean, and it's just lowering that barrier to entry, right? And just, I would rather lead people by example and have them explore it themselves than say, this is what you should do. And there's room for people to do that. There's organizations that do that. And sometimes people in deep addiction, they do need the hard line, right? But that's not us. We're not a recovery group. It's just, I always say, I'm like, we're just a group of people that want to hang out without substances. Like, we don't even talk about alcohol half the time. You know, it just doesn't come up. It's just, which is a beautiful byproduct.
Yeah. Did you get bucketed into like recovery type
all the
group
time.
in the
I still
beginning?
do. And I look, if you're not resilient, don't be an entrepreneur. I've gotten it from both sides. I got alcohol, like general public, like no one's gonna socialize without alcohol. Who the hell is gonna party without alcohol? And I was like, watch me. And then the recovery side told me I was killing people by offering non-alcoholic drinks. So I got it from both sides.
You're always gonna have critics if you're doing anything.
That's what I've heard. It's been a little exhausting at times, but
it's an attack. It's how long can you stay in the fight and keep that laser perspective on the impact it can have.
That's it.
And I think that's where anything in the world or in our lives and everybody's lives after is created, and that kind of uncomfortable middle ground. That we both navigated.
Oh my gosh. The middle is sometimes the most brutal place too.
The messy middle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So how can folks connect with you if they want to attend one of your events, come visit you at the shop? And
so quick shout out to where we are today is Maison Soleil Ethical Fair Trade Boutique in Ghent. So Lindsay's the owner, amazing store, like could not do what I'm doing without it. I mean, it really takes a community to build a business. So we're on Collie. You can find us there. And then freelifellc.com or Free Life LLC on all platforms.
Excellent. I know you put out weekly, monthly blogs.
Yeah, I do. So I do for the business side. And then I think you appreciate that. I write on Substack. It's called In Process. So it's really funny because I'm like, well, it's real. I'm not going to wait. I think that's another message I'd love to give on just the other side of everything is like, don't wait. Your shit's never going to be perfect. Whether you're an artist, a singer, like whatever, like it's fine. The world needs more of whatever someone has. I promise. I know, and you'll get better. And you won't die. That's fine. Yeah. If your post gets 3 likes, how many of my things if nobody's engaged with or whatever, but you can't get better until you try.
Mm-hmm. I know some of the most responded to things for me on social media were the things people didn't like but would call me and say, hey, I saw that post but I forgot I didn't like it but I'm calling you about it, and it really touched me or impacted me in some way.
That's a good one too. Like you don't know what you could share that could help somebody, and that is the most meaningful, you do it like meaningful part of whatever you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do we have behind us as options for people? Because I feel like you have the most options.
I do.
Stuff that I've ever seen. I'm like athletic brew or like
I do like
there's
athletic.
Only 2 options.
No, that's good. That's a solid beer. But we have some wine behind us. So these are made out of like fermented flowers and toast. This is like a sparkling champagne. And then down here are what's known as like functional cocktails. So they're gonna have like L-theanine, ashwagandha for stress relief. Yeah. So this is like a whole new category, which is so fun.
Love that.
Yeah, it's wild. I tell people because there's so much. I'm like, honestly, if there was an alcoholic version of something, I'd probably find an NA version. That's good. It's not O'Doul's anymore.
I remember O'Doul's like having friends' parents drink O'Doul's, and we were like, no, we can't go into their fridge and steal it. Yeah. We probably did though, and it just we still thought we were buzzing, but we weren't.
The placebo effect.
Placebo. Yeah, exactly.
Strong.
I love what you're doing. I love the impact. It's very unique. I know when you're in an industry or in a market, you feel like it's getting crowded or it is crowded already. It's kind of that initial deterrent that can push you away, but you've really leaned into it and found a unique angle that you can impact the community through something that's so powerful. And I think, it's wellness, both physical and mental. And I think that's what our show is all about. So really appreciate what you're doing and value the journey you're on and that you continue to share. I think giving people a lens into the process is so powerful. Oftentimes we see somebody's journey of pain, and then we see like the other side of they're like running a successful business and doing all these crazy things, and we don't see that messy middle. And I think that's where people learn the most lessons.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's a really good point, because you really kind of see the come up story, and then all of a sudden they're with Oprah or whatever,
Exactly.
and you're like, but I mean, it is a schlep. I love it. And schlep is a great word, because it is just like 80% of my stuff. It's not fun. You run a business, and it's hard to get there. And there are still dark nights of the soul where I'm like, does anyone need this? Does anyone care? And then you do cool stuff like this, and you're like, all right, I'll forge another day.
Yeah, the world cares. So one of the ways we like to wrap up the show, because we're all about how people can better connect with the world around them, is, what does the word connection mean to you?
I love that. Being seen. Yeah. Being seen for who you are fully. Being able to show up with all your parts. Ugly, good, bad, because we got them all. Yeah. Being seen. I don't know that you can have true connection without being seen. And witnessing, too.
Yeah. I love it. Excellent. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you're feeling more connected from this episode, please like, subscribe, and share with someone that you care about. And I'll see you on the next episode of the Connected Mindset Podcast.